Hello, people. Another beautiful day. Yeah. It's Friday. Hope your 5 senses work. Health and strength is good. What? Now, this little article I got here is for you Xbox fans. It's pretty short too. It says here, Microsoft Phil Spencer insists Xbox game sales remain important even as Gamepass takes over. Look, let me get through this article real quick. It says here, Phil Spencer wants to assure developers that game sales still remain an important factor, even with its Xbox Game Pass subscription continues to dominate. Speaking with fellow Xbox exec Sarah Bond during a GDC fireside chat, Spencer said, "I often get asked by developers if I'm not in the subscription, am I just not viable on Xbox anymore? It's absolutely not true." Says here, we look at retail people selling games, buying games. It's an important part of our profit and loss. That said, Bond did state that the Xbox team is always stunned by just how well its Game Pass subscription does. We look at this data over and over again consistently. The encouragement in the game when it goes into a subscription goes up 8 times above where it was before, and members actually spend 50% more, said Bond. It's really lowered the barrier for entry and created a whole new market and love for games and gaming experience that otherwise wouldn't have existed. Spencer adds he is incredibly proud of the role that Game Pass has been able to play, not only in Xbox big first party game, but in indie games, and great people are playing. Wait a minute, great games people are playing. Sorry about that. Says here, Spencer additionally differentiate Xbox business model from medium such as Netflix. This is where I sometimes contrast against other forms of media that we get compared to, whether it's music, whether it's video games. I fundamentally believe a strength for us in the video game business is the diversity of business model and the strength of those. Definitely in Team Xbox, we invest in business modes that developers are asking for and ensure those are flourishing. Says here, the full fireside chat can be watched below. I will leave a link in the description box. Plus, they have the Games with Gold video. I will leave that in the description box too. Now, last part of this article. Says here, early this month, Spencer asked that fans respect creators and to celebrate upcoming video games release regardless of platform. I think it's very often that creation can be kind of weaponized and used in battle between platforms and other things. Spencer says, let's just celebrate the fact that so many great games are coming out, facts, from so many creators, and realize that such a fun foundation for where the industry is going to go. Meanwhile, those wanting to read more about the industry shift towards subscription service should check out Chris. And it says excellent deep dive into the future of subscription gaming. Anyway, and that's the end of the article. Now let me get real deep with this. All right, there's some comments here, but there's one that stood out to me in particular. As soon as I get this computer, there you go. Now you want to move. All right, where's the? I was reading some people's comments, and they're really good. But one really stood out. This person's name is he said it is the same argument that people try to use to say that Game Pass would mean Xbox are getting out of console business. Why would you stop something that's doing well and making you money just because you're doing something else that's doing well and making you money? All right, let's do this. First of all, let me say this. Game Pass is above every other name in video games. Once Microsoft got that title, they cannot be touched. That name is above every other name, Game Pass. And what Phil Spencer said, when they came out with it, they said they were creating a service, right? So in order for Game Pass to succeed, that means you need everybody. So instead of keeping Game Pass for themselves, they made it available to other platforms. And a big part of Game Pass success was the Mac iOS user base, and that was huge. Because right, you can use Game Pass on Windows, right? You can use Game Pass on Mac iOS, right? But then they also now got Game Pass and xCloud on Linux. So Microsoft was trying to bridge the gap between different companies and bring the gaming industry together. So in order to do that, they need everyone. So they needed the iOS fan base. Of course, they need Windows, but they also needed Linux. And not only that, they provided a platform for independent developers. So Microsoft attitude is like, okay, because before that, independent developers didn't have a platform to showcase their talents. So Microsoft is like, okay, you're not going to be in the... Microsoft is like, okay, you independent developers are not going to be in the background anymore. You're not going to be in the dark anymore. We're going to create Game Pass, and you're going to use that as... This is going to be your platform to showcase your talents. And that's what they did. And independent game developers are loving it. Now they have a platform to where they can show off their talents to the entire gaming industry. And a lot of those independent games are good, you know. So Microsoft was, they were bringing the industry together, but they were making the industry grow, flourish, and also move. So Game Pass is a service, you know, and you know, it took them what 7. They got like a 7-year head start on the competition on this. You know, when they came out, they said, look, sales ain't the end all be all to video games. I mean, of course, video game console sales are important, but that's not the end all be all to video games. And they didn't make the sales their main like focal point of their mission. They were trying to get everybody to use Game Pass. They were even trying to help Nintendo to get Game Pass on Nintendo, and they rejected, and that was stupid. That was stupid because look, if Game Pass is on Nintendo, right, it doesn't mean that, okay, you can't make Nintendo consoles no more. No, you still can make Nintendo consoles. You still can make Nintendo games, but when it comes to xCloud and Game Pass, it's a service, and a lot of Nintendo fans would have probably loved the idea of playing say Xbox games through the clouds on their console. They would have loved it. It's the same thing with PlayStation. You know, having xCloud, even though Sony and Nintendo are competitors, instead of like you got some PlayStation fans that don't like Microsoft, period. And you got some Microsoft fans that don't like PlayStation, period. So a way for PlayStation fans to play Xbox games was through xCloud and Game Pass, and then like having xCloud and Game Pass on a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4, and that would have been a huge benefit. So they missed out on that. The Linux community is benefiting from that. The Mac iOS users, they love it, and of course Windows. You know, Windows fans love Xbox. So Phil Spencer was they were trying to bridge the gap, bring everybody together. You know what I'm saying? And they weren't trying to keep Game Pass to themselves. They wanted everybody to use the service. You know, the only thing is you gotta. I mean, of course you sign up for it, but then you gotta pay for the service. But for what they're charging, is not bad. So imagine like playing. You have a PlayStation 5 and you were playing, say, you play any of Microsoft games, whether it's Halo, Forza, on your PlayStation 5 through the cloud, and that's a huge missed opportunity on Sony's part. And that's a huge missed opportunity on Nintendo's part. But the Linux users, they love it. iOS users love it, and then of course Windows. So they were looking at the bigger picture when it comes to the whole Game Pass thing. It was no monopoly or try to take advantage of anybody. They were just trying to provide a service. You know, I mean, of course, sales is important. But that's not the end all, be all, the video games, man. And it's a huge missed opportunity. Look, I remember there was a I think it was last year when they had a dev kit of Gears of War 3 running on the PlayStation 3. There was a dev kit going around where you could play Gears of War 3 on the PlayStation 3. But then you have xCloud now. You got Game Pass with xCloud. So this would have been a huge opportunity for PlayStation fans who wanted to play Game Pass on their PlayStation because they like the PlayStation controls. That would have xCloud and Game Pass would have filled that void. But they missed out on it. So yeah, missed opportunity. But other than that, man, Game Pass is good. You know, they provided a service, man, to the gaming industry to keep it moving and keep it going forward. And Game Pass is a platform for independent developers to show off their talents, their attributes, their skills, and their game development skills in video games. And so far, it is working, man. And what's good about Game Pass too is, like, you know, when you watch This Week on Xbox, and then when you watch This Week on Xbox, and then you see the indie games that are running on it, as an independent developer, that should bring a smile to an independent developer's face, because they get to see their games on This Week on Xbox being previewed or being showed what it's about. And then the user themselves, the gamers now, they can go out and get that game. So Microsoft, they weren't trying to leave anybody behind, man. They were really trying to bridge the gap with xCloud and Game Pass and let anybody use it, whether it's Nintendo, whether it's Sony, whether it's Linux, whether it's Mac, iOS, or even Windows. You know, I mean, they could have kept Game Pass just on Xbox alone and call it a day, but they were like, nope, let everybody else use it. Mac users, Linux users, PlayStation users, they could have used it, and even Nintendo, but Sony and Nintendo missed out on it. So I mean, they still can get it, but I think they missed the whole point. You know, it's not like I said, it's not like, well, if we get Game Pass, we can't make PlayStation games anymore, or we can't sell PlayStation consoles no more. No, you still can make your PlayStation consoles. You still can make your PlayStation exclusive games. It's just that Game Pass is just a service to where you can play Microsoft Xbox games on PlayStation. That's all it is. So once Microsoft got the title, man, it was me personally, I realized that they couldn't be touched, you know, because the name Game Pass trumps every other name in video games. And once they put the pillars under it, like when they put the backwards compatibility under it, that's one pillar. But then you put ZeniMax Bethesda, so now you got a steady flow of games coming in. And then the other pillar is, okay, you put independent game developers front and center. That's another pillar. and then Activision Blizzard is like another icing into the cake. So they did their homework. Game Pass was really needed. So just because Microsoft created Game Pass, that don't mean that they stop making Xbox consoles. They don't stop making. They still make their console. Is that they were providing a service to the world where everybody could benefit. It was not just about them. It was just about the entire gaming industry as a whole. And that's what they were trying. That's what they were really trying to accomplish with this Game Pass. And so far they have succeeded. They have succeeded where Sony and Nintendo hasn't. They created a service and they didn't leave any. They try not to leave anybody out. Apple users can use it. Linux users can use it. And they weren't just thinking about themselves when they created this whole thing. It was just about the game industry as a whole, providing a service where everybody can benefit. But just because you use the service, it doesn't. If Sony used Game Pass or xCloud, it does not mean that Sony can't make games anymore. They still can. They still can make their consoles. It's just that Microsoft is providing them with a service, and that was it. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of PlayStation fans would have enjoyed the idea, would have loved the idea of using xCloud on PlayStation. They would love it. PlayStation fans might talk so-called bad about Xbox, but deep down in that heart, they love Xbox games. Okay, so Game Pass is just a service, and the same thing goes to Nintendo too. When Microsoft was trying to get Game Pass on a Nintendo console, it doesn't mean that you stop. It doesn't mean that you stop making Nintendo consoles or you stop making Nintendo games. You just got an extra service on top of what you got going on, and that's it. And you can play Xbox games. So as soon as, like, let's say this week on Xbox came out, or whatever games Microsoft is getting, you can play it. You can play it. So that means Elder Scrolls 6, Elder Scrolls 6, Starfield, and all the other Perfect Dark and all the other games that they got in development, Gears of War 6, a new Forza Horizon, whatever game Microsoft is making, you can play it on your console. You can play it on your console. You just got to sign up for xCloud and Game Pass, and that was it. And that's all they were trying to do. It's not like they were trying to, like, monopolize the market, so to speak, like most people was telling you, like, oh, it's a monopoly. No, it's a service. And for those people who said, well, Activision Blizzard is a monopoly, no, it ain't. No, it's not, because Activision Blizzard had internal issues. Things were happening, real issues, right? Court issues, and the team was looking for new leadership, new direction to go in. They still can make their games, but they needed new leadership. So Microsoft saw him, looked at him, and said, okay, go get him. And here comes Phil Spencer. Got him. And then Phil Spencer said in a statement, like, look, it is not what they can do for us. It's how can we help you. So that means that they're not going to take the company apart. The Activision Blizzard is going to stay together. It's just that they will be under the direction of Microsoft, and that's all it is. So people that were screaming monopoly really don't know what they're talking about. They were just making assumptions before they were just jumping to conclusions before they look at the whole thing internally. Like I told you guys before, Sony and Nintendo had a chance to get Activision Blizzard. They did nothing. I'm saying they did nothing. It's like they were walking around with their hands in their pocket. They did nothing. So Microsoft, they seized the opportunity when they seized the opportunity, and that's what they did. So the Activision Blizzard is not a monopoly. Okay, It's just another company to add to that Microsoft infrastructure. I mean that Game Pass infrastructure that they got building. So that's all it is, man. So Microsoft was just, providing a service for everybody so they can use it. So if PlayStation fans wanted to play, say Elder Scrolls 6 or Starfield, they got to get xCloud and Game Pass on PlayStation through the clouds, and then go from there. And the same thing could apply to Nintendo, but they missed the entire point. So now they got to reconsider. But anyway, other than that, man, sales is it's a part of the video game business. Of course, sales is important, but it's not the end all be all to video games. Your sales is your foundation when it comes to video games. Your sales is your foundation. Like take PlayStation 1. They built a huge foundation with PlayStation 1. They built a huge foundation with PlayStation 2. They built another huge foundation with PlayStation 3. So okay, you got this huge foundation now. Now it's about infrastructure. Now it's about network. Now it's about features. Now it's about online play, all that. There's nothing wrong with sales in video games. But if you're going to build a foundation with sales, you got to have an infrastructure, you got to have a network, and you got to have features. Period. And that's what Game Pass is. It's a service and a feature to Xbox. But instead of Microsoft keeping it to themselves, they're giving it to everybody. Like, okay, you can if you got a Nintendo console, you can play Xbox Game Pass. If you got a PlayStation, you can use xCloud and Game Pass. If you're using Linux, you can use xCloud and Game Pass. If you're a Mac iOS user, you can use Xbox and you can use xCloud and Game Pass, and that's what they're doing. So it's not about they're giving up on console. No, they still got to make Xbox consoles. That's why they're making a newer model of the Xbox Series X right now. So Game Pass is just a service, man. And for those PlayStation fans that were complaining that Microsoft they can't play Starfield, well, if they can get xCloud and Game Pass on PlayStation, then they can. You know what I mean? And then go on from there. So yeah, same thing with Nintendo fans too. But then Nintendo at the same time can't be making these weak consoles and then come out here thinking that's it. Because right now the Steam Deck is making the Switch look bad. So to me they should have stayed with the Wii U, but that's just me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. And I'm going to leave a link in the description box. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars and Star Trek playing. Or Dark Side. Go. Peace.